Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Streamer Thought Podcast, where thoughts flow and ideas stick. I'm your host, Jasmine. And so, look, for anyone who listens to this, I know there's some people that do listen. Um, it's been a while. It's been like a month since I've recorded a podcast. And yeah, so my bad, but life has been lifing, as they say. And so I guess this episode will be all about what's been happening lately. So much good things, all good things. Um, Number one, I'm pretty sure I've talked about it in like probably every episode I've ever made of this podcast since I haven't been doing it that long. But yeah, I was getting married, so now I am officially married. So the planning for that is over, and I'm so glad. And the day was beautiful, and yeah, I have no complaints about that. It went by super fast, but it was great. And yeah, I'm a married woman now. But to backtrack, before that, I went on a little trip with my cousin to DC, a small little trip the weekend before I got married, and that was a lot of fun. My cousin has a lot of connections in DC, and a lot of things were free. And so I appreciate that. It was fun. It was great. We had a good time. Would definitely do it again. Um, so yeah, and then that whole week was just like wedding planning, making sure I had everything right for the wedding, making sure, everybody was in order and where they were supposed to be. And then we had to do rehearsal and all that. So if anyone is listening and they have planned a wedding, then like a lot goes into planning a wedding. Um, and then you get to the day and it's like it goes by like that. And the ceremony is like 30 minutes at the most, and then you go from being single to being married, and it's just so fast. And the reception, all you're doing is taking pictures the whole time. You got to make sure you eat a little bit, or you won't eat the whole night, and you miss things. So yeah, but overall, it was a beautiful day. The venue was beautiful. Everything was great. So yeah, those two things definitely. Also, I am now in the midst of my dissertation classes, like writing my dissertation, figuring out my committee members in my chair, and just like in the middle of all of that. So I say all that to say, um, I am going to try my very best, like try my hardest to put out these episodes, um, really to discipline myself. And just because I think it's fun to just sit on here and talk about random things that are going on or come across my mind, because I'm a very random person. But I don't know if every week was too much of a commitment for me. Cause so maybe like every 2 weeks, I'm thinking I could sit on here and just talk to anybody that'll listen. Um, so yeah, I think that's more like it for me. So starting now, that'll be my rule. Um, but yeah, so what else? Of course, I had a bunch of random thoughts in this whole process. Oh, another new thing. So this is a weave. I've never had a weave before ever in my whole life, but I wanted to have something different for my wedding, something I've never had and something that my husband had never seen me in. Like I wanted it to be like a surprise for me, surprise for him. Um, so I have different opinions on it. I think it looks nice. I like how it looks on me. But I also feel like I probably wouldn't get it again because I'm not really sure if this is like my style or something like I would do on the regular. Because I really do like my natural hair, and when it's curly or even when it's straightened out, I like it. Um, and also, it was so painful. Like after about like a week, it eased up and it loosened up. But for that first week, I was taking Advil and Excedrin like it was candy, because my head was pounding. It was like it was not a part of my body. Like I was so uncomfortable. I couldn't sleep, like nothing. So for the girls, the girlies that have weaves all the time, like, God bless you, girl, because how? How do you do that? Do you just get used to the pain? Does it dissipate like quicker? Is it because it was my first time getting it that I was in my head about it, and also it was more painful being the first time? Like, I'm not really sure, but um your hair is supposed to grow a lot underneath of it. I've heard. So we'll see when I get it taken out, what it looks like. But yeah, so this is new for me, and it took some adjusting. I think the hairstylist that did my hair did an amazing job. She's such a good hairstylist. And so I appreciate her. But yeah, probably not again unless it's a super special occasion, where I feel like I want to try something different again. But yeah, so that's new. Um, what else is new? I feel like life has been just moving so fast. Um, I just be trying to keep up. I just be going with it and seeing what I can do, doing what I can, and not worrying about the rest. Um, so another thing, now that the wedding is over and the wedding planning is over and all of that, because that was, while it was amazing, that planning a wedding is like an extra added stress when you're doing so many other things. Like I work full time, I go to school full time, so planning the wedding for a year and a half, it was definitely a relief for it to get to that day and then for it to be over. Um, but now it's about the future, and we definitely, me and my husband, we want to, we definitely want to build generational wealth, and can start that by buying a home, and getting into real estate, because real estate honestly is where you should be if you want to have generational wealth, if you want to have just wealth for yourself in general, because you can own a home, and then before your mortgage is even before you even paid off your mortgage, you can rent that home out, and then you have that monthly income, that guaranteed income every single month from the people that are paying rent, and that will also be paying your mortgage wherever else you go, if you price it right. And then that can be an investment property that we have for our kids, our future kids. So, because I'm very traditional, so you get married, you have kids, so obviously kids are the next step here because we're married. And I definitely want to have my own kids, especially little, well, you know what, I don't want to say especially, because I would be happy with just a healthy kid in general, boy, girl, whatever. But like a little girl that I can dress like me all the time, oh my God, amazing. I'm gonna dress her like me until she says she doesn't want to dress like me, which give me a couple years. And so I'll be happy with that. Uh, but yeah, so that is definitely the next step. We want to get a house and start that process. So I'm really excited about it. Another reason why, and I would say this to anyone that's like thinking about what they should do, what their next step should be, like if they should own a home or if they should rent, I would definitely say own, because at the end of the day, renting is so expensive now. And you might as well buy a home, have a mortgage, and your mortgage is either going to be around the same as what you would rent of something that you could never own, or it will be less. And then you could do so much with that because that's your house, or that's your condo, or that's your townhome, whatever you end up getting. So I feel like buying, especially in a time like this, is so much better. Now, if rent was cheaper, rent, but it just doesn't make sense to rent something for $2,200, $2,300 when you could buy something and pay $2,200, and that's yours. That's yours. And you're just paying that in mortgage every month. So yeah, not that I'm pro at this or anything like that, because I'm definitely not. I will be a first time home buyer. But it's just something I learned in the process. Like, you kind of cheating yourself to rent something when you can buy. Why rent when you can buy? Um, and I wasn't even really thinking of that until we were looking at places, and we ended up going to this one community just on happenstance, because that community wasn't even on the list of places to go to. We just saw it and we went in because the leasing office, the leasing office, or rental office, whatever, was open. And so we went in and talked to a lady named Caroline. And so we went in there and we asked her, or we were like, we would like to rent one of your townhomes. Like, we want to tour and see what the prices are, blah blah blah. And she was basically like, okay, yeah, I'll tell you about it, but why are you renting? And we both kind of looked like, because our lease is up. And she was like, yeah, I mean, but like, why rent when you can buy? And that's the first time either one of us thought of it. So, yeah, God bless Caroline, because she definitely put it in our heads like, hey, you could be doing more than what you're doing right now, especially with the way that y'all's situations are set up. You could definitely get a home, buy a home, instead of renting someone else's home that you could never own. Yeah, so that is the step that we're on now. And then, like I said, of course, children later. It's the most natural thing in our minds to have kids. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about that too. When it comes to generational wealth and having it for the kids, I do think that's important, but I also feel like I do not, because, okay, so the kids nowadays I'm trying to find a word that is appropriate. But they're simply just bad. Like, a lot of the kids nowadays are just really bad. And I don't want to raise like bad kids. I want to raise good kids that end up being really good adults. And that don't think they're better than anybody else, because, honey, you are not better than anyone else. And so, yeah, I want them to have morals and values and appreciate everything that they have, and also to work for things as well. And that may sound, well, some people, depending on who you ask, could think that that's harsh, but that's just my opinion. Like, my kids will not be entitled. I don't like that. Like, I feel like I'll give you the world. I'll give you everything in this world if I can. Like, as a mom, I'll do that for you. But I don't ever want my kids to feel like I owe them, because I don't owe them anything. I'm giving it to you because you're mine, and because I love you, and because I feel like you worked for it. And I just want to do it. But it's not something that's required of me. I'm only required really to feed you and clothe you and keep you safe and protect you. But all these other things, like, I don't have to give them to you, but I want to give them to you. So yeah. And I would really like to have kids that understand that and appreciate that, instead of like, I mean, hey, kids these days, they just different, and I just really I don't want that. I don't want it. I just don't want it. So, and I'll just leave it there. Another thing that randomly came across my mind, I was watching a podcast. I do not remember this guy's name. What is his name? It's a comedian. His name is Marcus D. Wiley. And I don't know if anyone's ever heard of this guy, but he's pretty funny, and he's very clean. Like, he doesn't cuss or nothing like that. He's not a pastor or anything like that, but his dad was a pastor, his grandfather, great grandfather, like he comes from a line of pastors, so he kind of has like that energy. Um, and so, but his jokes are funny, like they're not like about like only about the Bible or nothing like that, like or I don't know how you would perceive like somebody that in church if you don't go to church, but anyway, he's really funny, and he was on a podcast, and they basically asked him, it was like, what do you wish you knew? I think this was the main question. What do you wish you knew about marriage before you got married? And then it randomly like went to another like kind of side note topic that was related to it. And it was about how women are so independent now. Independent to the point where it's like, do they even need a man, or they make it seem like they don't need a man, like independent women don't need a man, you know, that saying or whatever. And I think that saying is funny, but at the end of the day, I feel like we need each other. Like men need women and women need men. And he brought up a good point where he was like, if you go through life saying I don't need a man, I don't need this, and do everything yourself, then like you probably won't get one. And that's a fact. Like you probably won't get one. And that doesn't mean, that doesn't make you less of a person, because obviously, probably most likely you went through some things that made you feel like, well, what can a man do for me? You know, maybe your childhood experiences and whatever in life made you kind of toughen up and feel like only you can get things done the right way and no man could would suffice. And like I get that, but at the same time, as a wife, and even before I became a wife, when I was a fiance or when I was a girlfriend, like I always felt like, yeah, there's plenty of things I can do on my own, you know, plenty of things, but I don't ever want to make my man feel emasculated or demasculated, whatever. I don't ever want him to feel like he's not needed. As I was literally talking to my husband the other day and I was asking him about it, I was like, what is that like the main thing? Like, you know, and he was like, men, like we need to feel needed. We need to feel like you want us there. Because if we don't feel like you want us there, then it will be like, well, what are we doing? You know, if you do everything for yourself, then I'm just here. Like there's no need. I'm not necessary. They need to feel necessary. And so that brings me to another point. Like I said, there are plenty of things that I could probably do on my own, but like if my man offers, if he's like, oh, you want me to set it up for you? You want me to do this for you? Blah, blah, blah. And I know in the back of my mind, like I could probably do it. But since he offered, yeah, of course, babe, you do it. You know, like it's fine. Um, and that felt good for me because I'm like, oh, that's one less thing I have to do. So at the end of the day, I don't want to do everything. Like, do these women that say that independent women don't need no man, do you really genuinely want to do everything? Like, aren't you tired? I feel like I just don't have a desire. Like I have so much stuff in my life. So if you want to take something off of my plate, even if it's simple and I could do it, like if you're available, then why not? Like, who am I to say no, you know? Um, but also, so that's why I don't know if I believe it. Like when they say that, like, I don't know, girl, like, come on. All the car stuff, you really want to do that? Fixing things around the house, you really want to do that? So yeah, and I think it was good for him because it made him feel needed. So me, whether I could do it or not, me making you feel like I needed you to do it was nice. That was nice. Um, Another thing that they talked about in the podcast was people talking about things that they will never do. Like I think people are quick to say, and I'm guilty of it sometimes as well, but quick to say, I would never do that, or I would never be a man to be with a man to do this, or I would never be with a woman to do that, whatever. She can't have kids, he can't have kids, they can't have this in their past or whatever. And you know, I mean that's cool. Like I'm not saying like change your standards completely, like totally be different, then and change your values. Like, don't do that. But I do think it's really important to be open-minded, because the person that God has for you might not be exactly what you thought they should be. Like, for example, with the person that has kids, some people, and I know people that are like, oh, I would never be with a man who has kids already because I ain't got no kids. And, okay. But I also know of people that said that, and then they ended up getting married to a man who had kids, and they have been together for a long time, and that's the love of their life, and their life is amazing. So I'm like, if you hadn't have opened up your mind a little bit to this man, you would have never given him a chance. You would have just looked past him because he had kids. And I think that, so I have to really choose my words wisely with this, because I'm not saying lower your standards at all, because if that's a low standard for you, like in your mind, like obviously don't change it. But I also feel like, because I have this saying where it was one person back in the day when I was dating, that said to me, "Oh, you have maybe your standards are too high," and I was like, "Nah." I mean, is it that my standards are too high, or is it that you just can't meet them? And I meant that. I meant every word, because I shouldn't have to change what I want for you. But I do think when you are dating, don't be like, oh, he has to be tall, or he has to be this, and he has to be that. Because hey, there might be a really nice guy out there that is not as tall as you are normally used to, but he is a really good person and he treats you really well. So I'm just saying, maybe figuring out what is a deal breaker and what you can deal with is important. But yeah, so that's just a couple things that made me think, and also things that are going on in my life. Like I said in the beginning, I'm going to try my hardest to do these episodes on a consistent basis. Now, I know I said, and I told myself this, I was like, every week, girl, you're going to do these episodes every single week. And, you're going to put them out on Instagram and on TikTok and on YouTube, and you're going to do this and that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that was working when I had the time, and now I don't have the time. So I feel like every 2 weeks is a good goal for me. Yeah, but that was it for this episode. This episode was kind of long. I'm kind of proud of myself. That's good. Normally they're not as long. But yeah, the video version of this episode will be on YouTube on the Stream of Thought podcast. And then the audio version will be anywhere that you get your podcast. So yeah, thank you all for listening, and bye.